Hi everyone, my name is Ariana and today I'm going to be sharing the unraveling things that come along with the book, The True Story of the Three Little Pigs by Jon Scieszka. Everyone knows the story of the Three Little Pigs from the pig's perspective, but what about the wolf's perspective? Scieszka takes us on an adventure with this fun and suspenseful book. Let's dive in. Let's backtrack a little and talk about the original story of the Three Little Pigs. So, everyone knows the story. There's three pigs living in three different style houses. One's built of straw, the other's one's with sticks, and then the other one is with bricks. Then there's this big bad wolf who comes by, he huffs and he puffs, and he blows the house down. That's the story that everybody knows. Now, in this story, we see a whole different perspective. We see the perspective from the big bad wolf, but his actual name is Alexander T. Wolf. Alexander claims that the only reason why he was going to visit the pigs in the first place is because he just needed to borrow sugar to copy his grandmother's recipe for her cake. When he goes to knock on the door of the first two pigs, he comes down with this really, really bad sneeze, and he sneezes and he blows the houses down. So the houses are blown down and the pigs are in the house. So essentially, he kills them and he thinks, well, they're already dead. I can't just leave food lying there and not eat them. So then he eats them. Right. Now, we get to the third house. This is our third chance. He's going to try and get his sugar. So, as he's knocking on the door, the third piggy is absolutely refusing to let him in. And he ends up calling the police, and then the police come and they pick up the big bad wolf and throw him in jail. And Alexander tries to explain, guys, I was only trying to get sugar. This is a whole misunderstanding. But instead, he got painted as the big bad wolf, and that was his title. Reading the book, something that was really interesting was looking at all of the illustrations. So let's touch up on that. So the book is illustrated by Lane Smith, and she uses a lot of dark and whimsical colors, which I was really intrigued by. They perfectly match the suspenseful and silly tale, and she uses a lot of earth tone colors. So, like shades of gray, browns, and yellows. And these colors kind of create a vintage vibe to Alexander and his perspective. So, as we can see, we have him here. We can kind of see like the vintage, I don't know if I would say that that's brown, but I think we kind of get the gist. And there's just these colors. And then as we're looking through the book, you know, colors, it's just giving very much vintage, you know. Something else is the wolf. Alexander himself, he's illustrated to look wise. Like he has his circular glasses and he has this really sophisticated look to him. And I think that Lane Smith did a really good job at portraying him to give us a different view of him. Because in the regular story, we see him as this big mean wolf. But in this story, we kind of see him as a normal guy. Here he is. Let me see if I can find a better picture. Look, like right here. Here he is, just a chill guy in his little shirt suit. That might be a shirt suit. His glasses, his long nose. He just looks super chill. Let's see what else. Something else that Lane Smith does is her shading. I feel like her shading really deepens the mood and it adds a mysterious tone to the scenes. Like, let's see. In this, when she's drawing the houses, like the shading on this shows us kind of like the texture that this is. I don't know if this one's the sticks or if it's the straws, but you know, we can tell that that's textured by the way that she shades. And then I think in the other page, it shows us the other house too. Let's see. Yeah, a little bit here too. The shading is like a little different in here, but we can tell that this house has some type of like hay or something. And I think that Lane Smith does a really, really good job at that. Okay. In some of these pages, Lane Smith creates like a smoky background. And I think it's really interesting to look at and see. Like right here we can see. And I think it kind of creates curiosity in readers, because when I was seeing this, I was really curious, like, what's going to happen next? Is it going to be something bad? Is it going to be something good? And I think that she was able to capture that very well. Overall, I think that the colors, the shading, the shadows, everything about the illustrations in this book really support the tone and the vibes. And I think that Lane Smith did a really good job at doing that. For this book, I think I would consider it a fictional children's picture book, and I think it teaches readers about different perspective and biases. As we know, the story is told from the wolf's perspective, and it's teaching young readers that there's always more than one side to every story. And I think this book is a perfect read for any elementary classroom. Maybe not. I think you could read this book to like the younger kids, TK Kinder, but I think the book is very suitable for like first through third graders because they can understand the story and we can explain to them that the story just teaches us about different perspectives and bias. So one of my favorite parts of this book is actually on page 3. It's going to be this page right here. This page just talks about how his name is Alexander and he doesn't really understand how he got into this big old mess and that it's really, the story was just told wrong. So in this, he says, maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. And then here's him with his burger. So I thought that that was super funny because he's totally right. We eat burgers and we don't say anything about it, and he's a wolf. So pigs and animals like that are a part of his food chain. Like that is what he eats. So why is he being categorized as this big bad wolf if he's just doing what nature intends? So again, we're seeing this from his perspective. He says that that was never his intention. His intentions were never bad. They were just to get sugar, and unfortunately, things happened and he ate them. I think that his comparison really puts readers in his shoes, and we get to see the story from a different scope, which I really enjoyed reading. And I think that it encourages readers to think about how judgment is based on appearances. You know, he's a wolf. So obviously, when you see him, it's like, oh no, he's a wolf, he eats people. But like I said, he's kind of just a chill guy who ran into an accident. Like, there was an accident, he had a really bad sneeze, blew the houses down, and because the houses fell on the pig, he ate them because he wasn't just going to leave them lying there. So I think that this book honestly had a lot of strengths. The themes of bias and perspective I feel like was really good. Um, the illustrations were fun and engaging, and the book was funny. Um, just reading the book from the wolf's perspective, I think that it teaches students that there's always a different perspective in life. This could be, you can literally apply this to anything, but it's important to understand that there are different perspectives and you kind of have to listen to those different perspectives before you can come to a conclusion yourself. The illustrations in the book are fun and they're easy to understand, and I really think that it made this book a strong book. And the humor in the story is just clever and sarcastic. Like, I was reading the story and I definitely laughed a lot because, you know, he just kind of got unlucky and there wasn't really anything he could do about it. I think that this story is targeted for a younger audience. Like I said earlier, probably first through third grade. The story teaches them a lot of fun things, and honestly, I would see myself using this book in my classroom. So I came up with a little bit of a fun activity, and the activity is it's a class activity, and we would be calling it the big debate. So after reading the story with my kiddos, having them partner read, you know, everybody kind of gets a good feel of the book. I would have them do a debate. I personally think that this activity would work really well in a third grade classroom setting. So that's kind of how I altered my activity. So my objective would be to encourage students to think critically about perspective. They would practice public speaking and they would be engaging in a friendly debate because who doesn't love to argue? So some of the materials that we would need would be copies of the story. Everyone is going to have to know the story, like they're just gonna have to know it. And then we're gonna need printable character role cards. So we would have a role card for the wolf, the pig, we would need one for a judge, the jury, and then the reporters. Um, I would also want to include fun props. So like the wolf would be wearing like some ears. The piggies would have like a little tail. I think that would just lighten the mood. And in my classroom, everyone would be assigned a role. Okay, I would create our classroom into the courtroom and kind of bring our debate to life. So like I said, everyone would be assigned the role. So there's the wolf, and whoever plays the wolf, they have to defend themselves and explain why they are innocent. So they're arguing to the class why they're innocent, why they shouldn't be thrown in jail, and why everyone should find them not guilty. Then there's the three little pigs. So those would be three other students. And each of those pigs would just share their sides of the story. So sticks, whoever built the pig with the house with the sticks, what happened? Pig with the house with the, what was the other one? Sticks, straw? What happened? And then the last one, the bricks. They would explain that. And then what else is there? Each pig, a judge who keeps the debate fair and makes sure everyone is getting a turn. Then we'd have the jury, and the jury would just be the rest of the class. They listen and then they vote at the end. And then we would have reporters who are taking notes and then asking follow-up questions. So after this, I would give students time to work in teams. So there'd be the wolf team versus the pig team. People who are defending the wolf, people who are defending the pig. And after that, they would just basically come up with reasons on why the wolf is or isn't guilty. So, should the wolf be blamed for only sneezing? And then we would hold a debate in the courtroom where the pigs and wolves share their sides. The reporter can ask questions like, why didn't you just knock on the door nicely? Or, did you really sneeze on purpose? Basically, after all of that and hearing all of the sides, the jury would vote, innocent or guilty, and then I would finish off the activity explaining to my students why it's important to hear all sides of the story rather than just one. You know, because they're just listening to the story from the pig's perspective, they would think that the wolf is guilty. But after hearing the wolf's side, kind of makes you think, is he guilty? Because he said he just needed sugar. So that's an activity that I think would be really fun and useful. And honestly, I might use it in my future classroom. Not might, actually. I will use it in my future classroom. You should too. And yeah, overall, the story of the Three Little Pigs, sorry, not the Three Little Pigs, the true story of the Three Little Pigs, it was fun. It was interesting. There are a lot of illustrations that were good. And it was just a really good picture book. And I think it really showed us the importance of perspective. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you.